My sister-in-law stole my family's heirloom necklace. I caught her on camera, sneaking, guilty. She attacked me when I confronted her. My brother lied to save her. Then I uncovered his darkest secret. I'm Sarah Thompson, 32, living in a small but cozy apartment in Seattle, Washington. My life's been pretty quiet, just me and my work as a graphic designer, until my family turned it upside down. My younger brother, Michael, 28, and his wife, Jessica Carter, are the kind of couple who always seem to be chasing something bigger, flashier. They've been married for a year, and I've tried to keep the peace, but Jessica's obsession with appearances always rubbed me the wrong way. Michael's no better, always enabling her, blind to her flaws. My parents, Linda and Robert, live in Tacoma, about an hour away, and they've always doted on Michael, their golden boy. Me? I'm the practical one, the one who doesn't make waves. Or at least I didn't, until this mess started. It was a Sunday afternoon, 2 months ago, when Michael and Jessica came over to my place. They'd been in Seattle for some shopping, they said, and wanted to catch up. I was happy to host, even if Jessica's fake smile made my skin crawl. We chatted, ate takeout from a local Thai place, and they left around 8. Nothing seemed off, but the next morning, I noticed something wrong. My jewelry box, tucked away in my bedroom dresser, was slightly open. I froze. That box held something precious, a gold ring, passed down from my great-grandmother, worth about $15,000. It wasn't just the money, it was the only thing I had left from her, a woman who'd raised my mom and left stories of strength I'd grown up hearing. My heart raced as I rummaged through the box. The ring was gone, just gone. My first thought was I'd misplaced it, but I'm meticulous about things like that. I tore my apartment apart, checking every drawer, every corner, nothing. Panic set in, and I started replaying the weekend. Michael and Jessica were the only ones who'd been over. Could they have taken it? No, I thought, that's crazy. But doubt crept in, gnawing at me. I remembered Jessica wandering off to use the bathroom for a suspiciously long time during their visit. My gut twisted. I'd installed a security camera in my bedroom after a break-in scare last year. It's just a small thing, hidden on a shelf, motion activated. With my hands shaking, I pulled up the footage on my laptop. I scrolled to Sunday evening around the time they were over. There it was. Jessica, clear as day, slipping into my room while Michael and I were in the kitchen. She glanced around like she knew she was doing something wrong, then opened my dresser. Her fingers moved fast, digging through my jewelry box, and she pocketed the ring. My stomach churned. I watched it again, hoping I was wrong, but the footage didn't lie. Jessica, my sister-in-law, stole from me. I sat there staring at the screen, my mind racing. Why would she do this? The ring wasn't just some trinket. It was my family's history. My great-grandmother wore it through wars, through loss, and passed it down to me, not Michael, not anyone else. Jessica knew that. She'd seen me wear it at family gatherings, had even complimented it once, her eyes lingering too long. Now I knew why. I felt betrayed, not just by her, but by Michael too. He had to have known something, right? They were always whispering about their big plans, their need for cash to keep up with their flashy lifestyle. I wanted to call her right then, scream at her to give it back, but I stopped myself. I needed proof, a plan. I couldn't just accuse her without being sure. So I checked the pawn shops in Seattle. It took a few calls, but I found it. A shop in Capitol Hill confirmed they'd bought a ring matching my description for $8,000, sold by a woman who looked a lot like Jessica. My blood boiled. She didn't even get its full value. $8,000 for a piece of my family's soul, probably to fund some ridiculous party or designer bag. I saved the pawn shop's receipt number and the clerk's name, my hands trembling with rage. I knew I had to confront her, but not alone. I needed my parents there, witnesses to her lies. I called my mom and dad, told them I wanted to have a family dinner at their place in Tacoma next weekend. They agreed, happy to have us all together. Michael and Jessica said they'd come too. I didn't tell anyone about the ring yet. I wanted to see her face when I played that footage, to watch her squirm. My chest tightened at the thought of it, a mix of anger and hurt. This wasn't just about the ring anymore. It was about trust, family, and the fact that Jessica thought she could take what was mine and walk away. The drive to my parents' house in Tacoma felt like forever. Rain streaked down my windshield, Seattle's gray sky matching my mood. I gripped the steering wheel, my laptop with the security footage tucked in my bag. Tonight, I'd confront Jessica about stealing my great-grandmother's ring. My stomach churned with nerves, but I wasn't backing down. Michael and Jessica would be there, along with my parents, Linda and Robert. I needed them to see the truth, to know what kind of person Jessica really was. We sat around the dining table in my parents' cozy Tacoma home, the smell of mom's lasagna filling the air. Michael was his usual charming self, cracking jokes, while Jessica played the perfect wife, complimenting the food. I forced a smile, my heart pounding. I waited until we were halfway through dinner, when the conversation lulled. My hands shook as I pulled my laptop from my bag and set it on the table. Everyone looked at me, confused. Sarah, what's this about? My dad asked, his brow furrowed. I took a deep breath. Jessica, where's my great-grandmother's ring? My voice was steady, but inside I was screaming. Her face froze, her fork hovering midair. Michael's smile vanished. What are you talking about? Jessica said, her tone sharp, like she was already on defense. I didn't answer. Instead, I opened my laptop, turned the screen toward them, and hit play. The footage rolled, clear and damning. Jessica, sneaking into my bedroom, rifling through my dresser, pocketing the ring. The room went silent, except for the faint hum of the video. Jessica's eyes widened, her cheeks flushing red. That's not what it looks like, she blurted. Michael jumped in, his voice loud. Sarah, you're blowing this out of proportion. It's just a ring. I felt my blood boil. Just a ring? I snapped. It's worth $15,000, Michael. It's our family's history, and she stole it. My mom's hand went to her mouth, shocked, while my dad stared at the screen, his face unreadable. Jessica's composure cracked. Okay, fine, she shouted, throwing her napkin on the table. I took it. I sold it. We needed money for our engagement party. You have no idea how expensive it is to keep up with our friends. Her words hit like a slap. She'd pawned my heirloom for a party for $8,000, not even its full value, just to impress people who didn't care about her. I clenched my fists, trying to stay calm. You had no right, I said, my voice low, shaking. That was mine. Michael leaned forward, his face red. She did it for us, Sarah, for our future. You're acting like she's some criminal. I couldn't believe it. He was defending her even now, with the evidence right there. She is a criminal, I shot back. She stole from me, Michael. And you're okay with that? My parents stayed quiet, their eyes darting between us. I turned to them. Mom, Dad, say something. Call the police. I'm pressing charges. Jessica laughed, a bitter, mocking sound. Press charges? Over a stupid ring? You're pathetic, Sarah. My mom finally spoke, her voice soft. Sarah, maybe we can work this out without the cops. My heart sank. Were they taking her side? I shook my head. No, she stole from me. She doesn't get to walk away. Michael slammed his hand on the table. You're tearing our family apart over this. I stared at him, my chest tight. I'm tearing the family apart? She stole from me, Michael. She took something irreplaceable and you're acting like it's my fault. My voice cracked, the hurt spilling out. Jessica's eyes narrowed and she leaned closer, her voice dripping with venom. You've always been jealous of me, Sarah. You can't stand that Michael's happy. Her words stung, but I didn't flinch. Jealous? I said. I just want what's mine. The tension hung thick, like a storm about to break. My dad cleared his throat, trying to play peacemaker. Let's all calm down, he said, but I wasn't listening. I looked at my mom, her face pale, and I knew she was torn. She wanted to keep the family together, but I wasn't letting this go. Call the police, I said again, my voice firm, or I will. Jessica's smirk faded. She knew I wasn't bluffing. The room felt smaller, the air heavy with unspoken words. My parents exchanged a glance, and I wondered if they'd ever see me the same way again. The air in my parents' dining room in Tacoma felt like it could snap. Jessica's mocking laugh still echoed in my ears, her words calling me pathetic cutting deeper than I'd expected. My demand to call the police hung there, unanswered. My mom, Linda, shifted in her chair, her face pale, torn between keeping the peace and facing the truth. My dad, Robert, looked like he wanted to disappear. Michael's eyes burned with anger, his fists clenched on the table. You're really doing this, Sarah? He spat. You're gonna call the cops on your own family? She stole from me, Michael. I shot back, my voice shaking but firm. She took my great-grandmother's ring, worth $15,000, and sold it for a party. A party! My chest heaved, the betrayal sinking in deeper. Jessica rolled her eyes, leaning back in her chair like this was all a game. You're so dramatic, she said, her voice dripping with disdain. It's just jewelry. Get over it. That was it. My vision blurred with rage. Just jewelry? I said, stepping closer. It's my family's history, Jessica. You had no right. Before I could say more, Jessica shot up from her chair, her face twisted. You're not better than me, Sarah, she screamed, her finger jabbing at me. You've always looked down on me, acting like you're so perfect. I stood my ground, my heart pounding. I'm not the one stealing, I said, my voice low, steady. That set her off. In a flash, she lunged forward and slapped me hard across the face. The sting burned my cheek, and I stumbled back, shocked. My mom gasped, Jessica, stop. But Jessica wasn't done. She grabbed my hair, yanking it, her nails digging into my scalp. I tried to pull away, but then she snatched a wine glass from the table and smashed it over my head. Pain exploded in my skull. I felt something warm trickle down my forehead blood. My knees buckled, but I caught myself on the table. The room spun, my ears ringing. Michael shouted, Jessica, what the hell? My dad finally stood, his chair scraping the floor. Enough, he roared, but Jessica was still screaming, her face red, incoherent. I touched my forehead, my fingers sticky with blood, and looked at my mom. Her eyes were wide, her phone already in her hand. I'm calling 911, she said, her voice trembling as she dialed. The police arrived fast, their lights flashing through the dining room windows. 2 officers stepped inside, their faces serious as they took in the scene. Me, bleeding, the shattered glass on the floor, Jessica still glaring like she'd done nothing wrong. What's going on here? One officer asked, his hand on his radio. I took a shaky breath, trying to steady myself. She stole my ring, I said, pointing at Jessica. I have proof. And then she attacked me. I gestured to my head, where blood was still dripping. The officer's eyes narrowed as he looked at Jessica. Is this true? He asked. Jessica started talking, her voice high and frantic. She's lying. She attacked me first. I was just defending myself. My jaw dropped. Defending herself? I looked at Michael, expecting him to say something, anything, but he just stood there, his face a mix of anger and shame. Show them the footage, I said to my dad, who was holding my laptop. He nodded, his hands shaking as he opened it and played the security video. The officers watched in silence as Jessica's image snuck into my room, stole the ring, and slipped it into her pocket. One of them shook his head. Ma'am, you're coming with us, he said, pulling out handcuffs. Jessica's face crumpled as the cuffs clicked around her wrists. You can't do this, she screamed, struggling as they led her out. Michael followed, yelling at the officers. This is a mistake. Sarah's blowing it out of proportion. My heart sank. Even now, he was defending her. My mom rushed to my side, pressing a towel to my head. Sarah, I'm so sorry, she whispered, her voice breaking. I pulled away, my eyes stinging. You didn't stand up for me, I said quietly. She looked down, guilt written all over her face. As the police car drove off with Jessica, the house felt eerily quiet. My dad sat back down, his head in his hands. Michael stormed out, muttering about bailing her out. I stood there, blood drying on my face, feeling more alone than ever. My family was fracturing, and I didn't know if we'd ever be whole again. The days after Jessica's arrest were a blur. My head throbbed from the gash where she'd smashed the wine glass, but the real pain was rose deeper in my chest. My family was unraveling, and I felt like the one holding the frayed ends. I was back in my Seattle apartment, the bandage on my forehead a constant reminder of that night in Tacoma. My brother Michael hadn't spoken to me since he stormed out of our parents' house, vowing to bail Jessica out. I knew he would. He always chose her, no matter what. But what came next caught me off guard. My phone buzzed with texts from cousins, aunts, even family friends. "Why are you doing this to Jessica?" one read. "Michael says you're jealous," said another. My stomach sank. Michael was spinning a story, painting me as the villain. He'd called half our relatives, telling them I'd overreacted about the ring, that I'd always hated Jessica because she was better than me. He even claimed I'd given her the ring as a gift for their engagement, a lie so bold it made my head spin. I stared at my phone, my hands shaking. How could he do this? My own brother, twisting the truth to protect his thief of a wife. I called my mom, hoping for support, but her voice was heavy, hesitant. "Sarah, Michael says you're blowing this out of proportion," she said. "Maybe you could drop the charges? For the family?" My heart cracked. Even she was buying his lies, or at least wavering. I hung up, tears stinging my eyes. My parents, Linda and Robert, had always seen Michael as the golden child, the charming one who could do no wrong. Now, he was using that to turn them against me. I felt alone, betrayed by the people who were supposed to have my back. I knew I couldn't let this go. Jessica stole my great-grandmother's ring, worth $15,000, and sold it for a party. She attacked me, left me bleeding. I wasn't letting her walk away. So I hired a lawyer, a sharp woman named Karen who specialized in theft cases. I showed her the security footage, the pawn shop receipt, everything. "This is airtight," she said, her eyes narrowing. "But be ready. People like Jessica don't go down without a fight." I nodded, bracing myself. I didn't know how right she'd be. A week later, Karen called me, her voice tense. "Sarah, we have a problem. Michael's trying to sabotage your case." My heart stopped. "What do you mean?" I asked. She explained that Michael had submitted fake text messages to the court, ones that made it look like I'd told Jessica she could borrow the ring. I felt sick as she emailed me the screenshots. There they were, messages I'd never sent, saying things like, "Take the ring if you need it, Jess." They looked real, scarily real, but I knew they were lies. My hands trembled as I stared at my laptop. How far would he go? It got worse. Karen found out Michael had paid off 2 distant cousins, Mark and Lisa, to testify against me. They were ready to swear in court that I'd said I didn't care about the ring, that I'd handed it over to Jessica as a gift. My jaw dropped. These were people I'd seen maybe twice a year at family barbecues, and now they were lying for cash? I felt like I was in a nightmare. Michael wasn't just defending Jessica. He was trying to destroy me to save her. I sat on my couch, my head pounding, trying to process it. Michael, my little brother, the one I'd helped with homework, driven to soccer practice, was bribing people to lie about me. The ring wasn't just about money. It was my great-grandmother's legacy, a piece of our family's heart, and he was treating it like nothing, like I was nothing. My eyes burned with tears, but anger kept me grounded. I wasn't going to let him win. Karen was already on it. She tracked down Mark, one of the cousins, and got him to admit off the record that Michael had offered him $2,000 to lie. Lisa was shakier, but Karen was confident she'd crack under cross-examination. "We'll expose this," Karen said, her voice steady. "But it's going to be ugly." I nodded, my throat tight. I didn't want to fight my family in court, but what choice did I have? Michael was forcing my hand, and Jessica's smug face from that dinner haunted me. I wasn't backing down. Not now, not ever. The courtroom in King County, Seattle felt like a pressure cooker. I sat in the plaintiff's seat, my hands clammy, my heart pounding like a drum. The bandage on my forehead was gone, but the scar from Jessica's attack itched under my hair. My lawyer, Karen, sat beside me, her face calm but focused. Across the room, Jessica sat with her lawyer, her eyes avoiding mine. Michael was there too, his jaw tight, his gaze burning into me. I could feel his anger from across the room, but I didn't flinch. Today, the truth would come out. Karen stood, her voice steady as she presented our case. She showed the security footage from my Seattle apartment, crystal clear, showing Jessica sneaking into my room, stealing my great-grandmother's ring. The judge's face was unreadable as the video played, but I saw jurors lean forward, their eyes narrowing. Karen submitted the pawn shop receipt, proving Jessica sold the ring for $8,000, a fraction of its $15,000 value. "This wasn't a mistake," Karen said. "This was theft, plain and simple." I felt a flicker of hope. The evidence was undeniable. Then it was the defense's turn. Jessica's lawyer tried to spin it, claiming she'd borrowed the ring with my permission. My stomach churned as he presented Michael's fake text messages, the ones saying I'd told Jessica she could take it. The screenshots looked so real, my heart sank for a moment, but Karen was ready. She called an expert witness, a digital forensics specialist, who testified that the messages were fabricated, altered with software to mimic my phone. The judge's brow furrowed, and I saw Michael shift uncomfortably in his seat. Next came the witnesses. Michael had lined up our cousins, Mark and Lisa, to lie for him. Mark took the stand first, his hands fidgeting as he claimed I'd said I didn't care about the ring, that I'd given it to Jessica as a gift. But under Karen's cross-examination, he crumbled. "Did Sarah say those exact words?" she pressed, her voice sharp. Mark's eyes darted to Michael, then back to her. "Well, not exactly," he stammered. Karen leaned in. "Did Michael pay you to say this?" The room went silent. Mark's face flushed, and after a long pause, he mumbled, "Yes." Gasps rippled through the courtroom. My parents, sitting in the back, looked like they'd been punched. Lisa was next, but she barely made it through her testimony. Karen's questions were relentless, and Lisa broke down, admitting Michael had offered her $1,500 to back his story. The judge's face hardened, and I saw Michael's hands clench. His plan was falling apart. Karen didn't stop there. She presented phone records showing Michael's calls to Mark and Lisa, timed right after Jessica's arrest. It was damning. The courtroom felt electric, like a storm was breaking. Then came the real blow. Karen revealed Michael had tried to bribe another family friend, who'd refused and come forward to us. The friend's written statement detailed Michael's offer of cash to lie about me. The judge had had enough. "Mr. Thompson," she said, her voice like ice, "you've attempted to obstruct justice." She ordered Michael's arrest for fabricating evidence and witness tampering. My breath caught as two officers stepped forward, handcuffing him right there. Michael's face went pale, his eyes wide with panic. "Sarah, how could you?" he shouted as they let him out. I didn't answer. My throat was too tight. Jessica's defense collapsed. Without Michael's lies, she had nothing. The security footage, the pawn shop receipt, and her own admission at the dinner sealed her fate. The judge found her guilty of theft, ordering her to pay me the ring's full value, $15,000. But there was more. Karen had uncovered a bombshell during discovery, a trust fund worth $100,000 left to me by my grandmother. Michael and my parents had hidden it, letting Michael manage it. He'd spent a chunk on his and Jessica's lavish lifestyle, thinking I'd never find out. The judge ordered the remaining funds transferred to me. I sat there stunned as the gavel fell. Jessica was led away, her head down. My parents sat frozen, their faces gray. I'd won, but it didn't feel like victory. My family was shattered. Michael, my little brother, was going to jail. My parents had betrayed me, keeping that trust fund secret. I felt hollow, like I'd lost more than just a ring. As I left the courtroom, my mom reached for my hand, but I pulled away. I couldn't look at her. Not yet. Walking out of the King County courtroom in Seattle, I felt like I was carrying 1,000 pounds. The judge's gavel still echoed in my head, along with the image of Michael in handcuffs and Jessica's defeated glare. I'd won. Jessica was convicted of stealing my great-grandmother's ring, and I'd been awarded its full value, $15,000. More shocking, though, was the trust fund, $100,000 left to me by my grandmother, hidden by Michael and my parents. They'd let him manage it, and he'd blown through a chunk of it on his and Jessica's extravagant lifestyle. The judge ordered the remaining funds transferred to me, but it didn't feel like a victory. My family was broken, and I was standing in the wreckage. Back in my Seattle apartment, I sat on my couch, staring at the walls. My phone buzzed with texts from relatives, some apologizing, others silent, unsure whose side to take. My parents, Linda and Robert, tried calling, but I let it go to voicemail. My mom's voice, shaky and pleading, asked me to talk, to fix things. Fix things? After they doubted me, sided with Michael's lies, kept that trust fund secret, my chest tightened. I couldn't face them. Not yet. The betrayal cut too deep. I needed to get away. The trust fund money hit my account a week later, and I knew what I had to do. I booked a trip to Key West, Florida, about as far from Seattle's rain and family drama as I could get. The irony wasn't lost on me. The money Michael tried to hide was now funding my escape. I packed a bag, boarded a plane, and left it all behind. When I stepped off in Key West, the warm air hit me like a hug. The ocean sparkled, the palm trees swayed, and for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. I spent my days swimming in the clear water, reading on the beach, and sipping coffee at little cafes. The scar on my forehead, from where Jessica smashed that wine glass, faded under the sun. But the deeper scars, Michael's betrayal, my parents' silence lingered. I thought about him, my little brother, now facing jail time for bribing witnesses and faking evidence. I remembered us as kids, building forts, laughing until we couldn't breathe. How did we get here? Jessica's conviction was no surprise. Her reputation was ruined, her socialite dreams in tatters. But Michael, he'd chosen her over me, over family, over right and wrong. My parents kept reaching out, sending texts about healing and moving forward. I wasn't ready. They'd stood by while Michael painted me as the villain, believed his lies over my truth. They'd hidden my inheritance, thinking I wouldn't notice. I felt like an outsider in my own family. One night in Key West, sitting on the beach as the sun set, I realized something. I didn't need their approval anymore. I'd fought for what was mine, and I'd won. Maybe not their love, but my self-respect. I decided to cut ties with Michael completely. He'd made his choice, and I wasn't going to beg for his loyalty. My parents were harder. Part of me wanted to forgive them, to believe they'd just been caught in the middle. But every time I thought about it, I saw my mom's face at the trial, torn but silent. They'd chosen Michael's side until the truth slapped them in the face. I'd talk to them eventually, but it would take time. For now, I needed space to rebuild. The trust fund money gave me a fresh start. Back in Seattle, I moved to a new apartment, one with a view of Puget Sound. I poured myself into my graphic design work, taking on new clients, letting the creative process heal me. The $15,000 from Jessica's conviction went into savings, a safety net for the future. Key West had been my reset, a chance to let go of the anger. I wasn't whole yet, but I was getting there. Michael's in prison now, serving time for his lies. Jessica's out, but her name's mud in our circles. My parents are still trying to mend things, but I'm not rushing. Family's supposed to lift you up, not tear you down. I learned that the hard way. As I sit in my new place, watching the water, I know one thing. I'm done letting anyone take what's mine. I fought for my truth, and I'll keep fighting for me.